All right, guys. Bang, bang. Zac is back. And he's got some big news today. What's going on, man?
You only want to talk to me when we raise money, Pomp. I don't know what's the deal. It's like we have some good financing news, and all of a sudden you let me come on the show again.
I'm begging you to come on the show, but Zac is too busy these days. No. All right, let's just get the news right out of the way. For those that don't know, Zac is the founder and CEO of BlockFi, and he raised some money. So maybe just start with the news, and then we'll do an overview of BlockFi.
Yeah, so we are announcing, I don't know when we're going to publish this, but Thursday, August 20th, that we closed a Series C round of funding for the company, $50 million all equity investment round, led by yours truly, Anthony Pompliano at Morgan Creek. Pomp's going to be joining our board, which is really exciting. He's been instrumental in helping us get to where we are today. So maybe I'll turn this question around on you in a second, Pomp, and say, well, why'd you lead this investment round? But we had some really awesome participants in the round. Some of our existing investors, like Valar, who led the Series A and Series B, folks like Winklevoss Capital, Fidelity, some of our other institutional firms that have invested in subsequent rounds in the company. And we added some new folks as well. So we're not able to say their names, but we actually had direct investments from 2 university endowments, one Ivy League, one non-Ivy League, SCB 10X, which is the largest bank in Thailand. It's their venture arm. And an NBA player, Matthew Dellavedova, aka Delly. He actually did an interview with CoinDesk, so I'm curious to see if they quote him. And I'm really excited about maybe doing some more stuff in the sports world. But yeah, proceeds are going towards the same stuff that they always go to: building more products, growing the team, and trying to add more value for our clients, and putting our capital position in an increasingly stronger and stronger place. Which is really important for a company that's in the type of business that we're in. So, we've actually raised equity capital every 6 months since we started the company 3 years ago, which is an insane pace, and it's reflective of like how quickly we've been able to grow. It used to be like, oh my gosh, we raised the money, thank goodness, like we did it. Okay, let's take a little breather. This one felt very kind of opportunistic and operational. It's like, boom, all right, let's knock it out, get the term sheets, pick the one we're going with. Of course, we're going to go with Pomp's term sheet. Pick the one we're going with, close it, and like just keep moving. So we're excited.
Awesome. So I realized that there might be 1 or 2 people who are listening who actually don't know what BlockFi does. Maybe give us a quick overview of what BlockFi does, and then we'll get back to the funding news.
Yeah, sure. So, the original idea for BlockFi was to build debt and credit markets for the crypto space. So I was working in fintech, specifically in the online lending sector. I was personally investing in Bitcoin. I tried to get a loan from a bank to buy an investment property in Texas. Love the Salt Lick hat, by the way. Shout out to awesome Austin barbecue. And this is back in like early 2017. The price of my Bitcoin had gone up a lot, and so I included it on the financial statement that I submitted to the bank. And, the bank freaked out, and they were like, Bitcoin isn't worth anything. We're worried that you're a terrorist or whatever. And I was like, all of the stuff that has existed in the lending world for fintech is also going to need to exist in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. This is going to be a massive asset class. Banks are going to be slow to touch it. And that creates an opportunity, to build a business around that idea. And so that was the original idea. 2017, we started. Fast forward to today, we're really a financial services company that's focused on building products for cryptocurrency investors. So you can download the BlockFi app and earn interest on your Bitcoin, 6% interest on your Bitcoin, 8.6% interest on cash equivalents, stablecoins. We also support Ether and Litecoin. You can trade, so you can wire money into your BlockFi account, earn 8.6% on it until you decide to buy Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin in the app, and then you're instantly earning interest on the Bitcoin instead of the cash. And you can also get a loan secured by the value of your cryptocurrency portfolio if you want some liquidity without having to sell it. So those are the 3 products that we have today. It's available on the web and in the mobile app, and we're launching more stuff in the future. But that's what we do. 175 people at the company now, which is crazy.
Absolutely nuts. So these three products, I think one of the key pieces for what gets me excited is most businesses in crypto start out as these brokerage businesses, right? And so the example that I've used with you, obviously, for other people to understand is Robinhood, for example, in the traditional markets, starts out brokerage first, and then tries to, from a growth perspective, go geographic expansion. Step one. Step two is add other products to kind of their product suite. It's pretty hard for a brokerage business to add other types of products if they're not other brokerage products, right? So you can add derivatives and futures and things like that. But if you want to get into credit cards, debit cards, deposit type accounts, cash accounts, all that kind of stuff is pretty difficult. If you compare that to like a Square starts out with deposits and payments. They then end up adding crypto. They add cards. They add, P2P payment product. They've added fractional shares or kind of their own brokerage business. Like deposits and payments seem to be kind of a stronger place to start if your goal is to have a very robust product suite. Yep. And I think that in crypto, you guys have been kind of the leader or one of the companies that realized this early, and you start out with deposits, payments, and now have continued to add these services. Maybe talk a little bit about how you guys think about kind of the deposit being so important to the business model, and then how you think about adding, other products to the suite over time.
Sure. Well, your ability to monetize and create revenue on a financial services platform is generally a derivative of balances on the platform. So if you have more customers who are holding more assets on your platform, then you have a better chance of being able to make money off of those assets. So it's kind of it's always a game about getting balances and then figuring out ways to monetize those balances, which intersects with enabling your customers to do more things with them or launching more products. So that's the way we've always thought about it. One of the other reasons why this is important is financial services is a kind of hyper competitive industry, and I think crypto is even more competitive than traditional financial services because you're competing on a global scale, with blockchain technology, and at least everyone that's in the industry already sees the opportunity. So there's a lot of, investment and excitement and smart people working in the space. And so, we believed from really early on that a core part of our strategy has to be constantly releasing new products that add value for our clients so that, one, you can add monetization into the platform from these balances that, should be growing. But two, you can create stickiness with folks. So we've kind of thought about the end goal for us in terms of the client relationship that we want to have as being the equivalent to, when someone gets a mailer, and this probably happens to you, I know it happens to me all the time, from a bank, and they're like, hey, we'll give you $200 to open up a new checking account. And you throw it away. Not because $200, wouldn't be nice to have, but because you do all your stuff with a certain bank. You kind of got your setup figured out in terms of, where your checking and savings account are, where your credit cards are, where your, mortgage is. And you don't want to go through the, work and pain in the butt of switching all that stuff just for $200. So that's the type of relationship we want to have with our clients. And the way you do that is create a compelling product suite so that someone can, not only earn interest on their Bitcoin, but they can also get a loan against their portfolio if they ever need to. They can buy and sell it if they ever need to. We're really excited about our first product that we're launching in the payment space, which is going to be a Bitcoin rewards credit card. So you can spend money every day on a credit card and earn Bitcoin as rewards for it. And that's just going to flow into your interest account immediately when you get the rewards. If someone engages with all those products, and then they get a letter in the mail from another company saying, hey, we'll give you $100 worth of Bitcoin to come try and do some of those same things that you're doing with BlockFi over here, we want them to just throw it away. It's not worth it. I'm happy with BlockFi. They've given me, great client service. I trust the team and the product. I'm familiar with how it works. It's really easy to use. And so, that's the end goal for us.
Yeah, and one of the things that has been really interesting for me to see is this default digital currency world that you've created. So when somebody brings money into the system, it doesn't sit in cash ever, right? It sits in a stable coin. And so kind of explain how that works and why that's important. Because I do think that it also changes the mindset of a user, right? Like you are in this digital ecosystem. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, first off, just in case anybody doesn't understand a stable coin, imagine if, Gemini, Coinbase, a couple other folks have done this. Let's use Gemini for this example. Folks send them money, they hold it in a bank account, and they get that audited, and the cash just sits in a bank somewhere. But then they release one-to-one digital versions of those dollars in a bank account. For them, it's called GUSD, the Gemini dollar. And so when you fund a BlockFi account from your bank, which you can do via a wire transfer, it doesn't sit as dollars at BlockFi, it sits as GUSD. But that's basically interchangeable with dollars. You can, wire it back out to your bank account. But the reason we represent it that way is that it enables us to kind of do some of the things that we want to do without falling squarely into traditional types of regulatory boxes. And you get all the benefits of having it as cryptocurrency, which are, you can transfer it on blockchain payment rails. You're, taking part in this new ecosystem, and it is a little bit different than just holding a dollar in a bank account, but in ways that are largely positive.
Yeah. Let's talk about how things are going. So people are going to read in the news, $50 million Series C. Obviously, things must be going well, but what metrics can you share kind of publicly as to how things are going with the business?
Yeah, sure. So, to touch on a couple of, high level stats, we'll use the end of last year as a benchmark. So December 2019, we made less than $1 million in our, in that month in terms of top line revenue. Today, that number is just under 10 million for the month of July. We had about $200 million in assets, aggregate asset value on the platform. Today, it's over 1.5 billion. Our team was less than 100 people, I think around between 80 and 90 when we ended the year. Today, it's over 175. And we didn't have a mobile app. We didn't have the ability for folks to send us money directly from their bank account. And our trading feature launched December 15th. So at the beginning of the month, you couldn't buy and sell Bitcoin. By the end of December 2019, you could buy and sell Bitcoin. But now we're starting to see, real volumes flowing through that product, which is awesome. So yeah, it's been really incredible growth, including, I think, pretty notably through the coronavirus, situation that we're in, and the volatility that the crypto market experienced in March when, we were kind of digesting that news. And we've maintained, from a risk management perspective, our perfect performance all along the way. So, we're doing a lot of lending activities. We've grown those in tandem with the growth in our asset base. And we've continued to have perfect performance, never lost a penny across any of the lending that we do.
Yeah. So for those that missed that, in 7-8 months, you've almost 10x revenue. You've increased assets by 6 or 7x, all while keeping that perfect track record on the lending side. Talk a little bit about why is that so important, and how do financial service businesses think about kind of no loss of capital when it comes to those lending practices?
Sure. So, it's important for a ton of reasons.
Maybe the most important thing.
Yeah. Look, as with any other type of, investment or, allocation of capital, it's always better not to lose any than it is to lose some. So, one of the conscious decisions that we made in terms of what types of lending we wanted to do at BlockFi. This is going very early on. I came out of the online lending world where a lot of what happened, peer-to-peer online lending world, a lot of what went on there was unsecured consumer loans. And you can build a really big and successful business there, but you're dealing with defaults where you lose principal. And it's really hard to predict because there's a lot of variables related to the macroeconomic cycle or where someone lives or how they're doing professionally, what your performance is going to be on that loan book. Contrast that to the type of lending that BlockFi does, which is primarily lending that is collateralized with liquid assets. So if someone's borrowing dollars against their crypto portfolio, they're doing that at a maximum, 50% initial loan to value ratio. So with $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you can borrow $5,000. And then on the institutional lending that we do, similar concept, but slightly tighter ratios. And this type of lending, which is most analogous to securities lending in the traditional financial world, is one of the least risky types of lending out there. So our chief risk officer, Renee Van Kesteren, who was a managing director at BAML before becoming our chief risk officer, he oversaw all of this lending within the prime brokerage arm of Merrill Lynch and then Bank of America Merrill Lynch, and never lost a penny while he was doing it there, including through the 2008 financial crisis. So I like that type of lending better than stuff where you have defaults. It seems like when you've got an asset class like crypto, which is still so nascent and volatile when compared to traditional assets, being on the conservative end of the risk spectrum in terms of the types of lending that you're doing makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of, how we operate.
Yeah. And speaking of the lending, talk a little bit. The number one question I get from people who are unfamiliar either with this type of business or are looking at crypto for the first time is they see you can earn up to 8.6% APY on an interest-bearing account. Kind of give people the 60 seconds on how exactly you guys are able to pay that and why that product is so compelling to folks.
Yeah, sure. So, we're able to pay it because that's what we're charging folks similar rates when we lend dollars to them in the form of stablecoins. The reason that people who borrow those dollars from us are willing to pay those higher rates is because the cryptocurrency sector doesn't have access to the same types of low-cost financing that traditional sectors do because banks aren't here. A lot of the largest kind of debt and credit-focused asset management firms aren't here yet. And as a result, the cost of capital is higher in crypto. An analogy there would be like the cannabis industry, for example, where, it's newer, not as many banks are active. Maybe some folks are still figuring out how they feel about it from a regulatory and compliance perspective. And as a result, if you have, a cannabis business and you want to get a loan, you have to pay much higher rates than if you're trying to get a loan as a, more traditional business, like a UPS store or a pizza restaurant or something. And the same thing is true for crypto. And that's why the rates are where they are. And why is it compelling? I mean, it's compelling because I don't know a single traditional like savings account or, product from a bank where you're getting even over 1% these days. I mean, rates are trending downwards. The Fed has, said that they intend to keep it that way, at least through 2023, I think. So, you can't get yield anywhere. It's crazy to folks our age to think that, there was a point in time where you could earn 8% in a savings account. Like, those days are gone. And so being able to do it with a company like BlockFi because it's kind of doing similar types of activities, but within the cryptocurrency sector is really awesome. And you can just, do the math. However much money you have in an account earning 0.8% at Marcus with Goldman Sachs or an Allies high yield savings account, multiply it by 10. Like that's how much you'll earn if it's in an account with BlockFi.
Absolutely. How has the macro environment, right? So kind of what's crazy to me is we obviously are seeing, incredible growth at BlockFi at the exact same time that we're seeing the pandemic and kind of a recession, right? So you've got a pandemic that's got this public health crisis element to it. And then you've got 50 plus million Americans who lost their jobs, all those small businesses that are coming under pressure through the government mandated shutdown, all that kind of stuff. Would you agree or disagree with that has actually been a tailwind in the sense of people are looking for alternatives from that legacy system? Or do you not see any kind of connection there so far?
It's definitely been a tailwind. There's the tailwind of people doing more things digitally out of necessity, right? Because of the health situation. So online brokerages in the financial world, online services in general have done really well. And so we're, catching a little bit of that trend. The other thing is that in a time where you've got central bank responses to this crisis being, as expected to increase the money supply, and you have people sitting at home with a bit more spare time than they used to have because they're not flying, not socializing the same way they used to, reading about what this means. Things like, gold in the past have done really well. I think Bitcoin is part of that story now. And as a result, the cryptocurrency asset class is part of that story. So more people are getting interested in it. We catch a little bit of, that trend. And then lastly, we're part of a story within the crypto sector of more products and services being built specifically around this asset class, and more kind of traditional financial services companies and functions being available to crypto investors. So all of those things together kind of combined to have made the last 5 months or whatever it is since all this stuff started, the best 5 months we've ever had as a business.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a lot of money on the balance sheet now. What are you guys going to do with it?
We're just gonna keep going. We're launching this Bitcoin rewards credit card. We're really excited about that. We think it's going to be a fun product for people who already understand and own some Bitcoin, but also a great product for people who are kind of crypto curious or have always wanted some, but they just haven't really taken the plunge because everybody's familiar with earning reward points on a credit card. It's super low risk way to get some exposure. We've been expanding internationally. So, we have folks on the ground now in London and Singapore. So we'll be growing those teams and growing our efforts in markets outside the US. Other than that, it's, just kind of steady execution the same way we've been doing, over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. Obviously, you guys are continuing to grow the product, which means you have to grow people. Talk a little bit about what some of the roles are that you're looking for.
Everything, man. If you have, if you have, skills, whether it's engineering or marketing or, institutional type trading and risk management stuff, operations, finance. If you go to, if you type in like BlockFi jobs in Google, it'll take you to our jobs page. And I don't know how many are posted right now, but we're expecting to be around 250 people by the end of this year. So we're definitely hiring. And I think, one of the things I'm most proud of is the quality of the team that we've built. And I think even in a world where we're not going into the office every day for the foreseeable future, we've done a good job of maintaining this, culture that we have as a company of having people who enjoy what they're doing, who are super capable, who, are a pleasure to work with. And we're just doing it through Zoom now instead of in the office.
Love that. Two things that I know people, if we don't talk about, will tweet at us, and we'll be doing customer service on Twitter. First is give us an update on the Bitcoin's rewards credit card. What does that timeline look like, and kind of any updates there?
Yeah. So we hit a bit of a delay with COVID because in order to launch the Bitcoin rewards credit card, we have to have a card network partner, a bank partner, and a program management partner. I won't say which ones, but some out of that partnership set kind of, struggled to transition as quickly from a world where you're in the office to a world where you're fully remote. You could probably guess which one, but it's still coming out. Teams working on it. We're really excited about it. I think we'll have the first cards in market this year. Those first cards are probably going to go to folks that work at BlockFi and maybe investors and influencers like Pomp. So you'll probably see Pomp recording videos, paying for things with his Bitcoin rewards credit card before the holiday season, and then we'll have a broader, more public rollout early next year. You'll be able to get on the waiting list this year. We'll be releasing details starting in a month or two about how it's going to work, who the partners are, what the rates are, what you have to do to get the card, what it looks like, all that good stuff. So the wheels are in motion. We're really excited, man. I mean, I get mad every day, like I'm buying something with my Delta Amex or my Chase Sapphire card or whatever. And I'm just like, this sucks. Like I don't, these things were kind of lame before. Now I'm not even flying anymore. What do I need? What do I need Delta points for?
I was hyped when American Airlines decided to they like extended the whatever the status that you had gotten, they basically extended it an extra year. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. This COVID thing will be over in a couple of weeks, and then I'll basically have a whole extra year. And then I was like, wait a second, I'm not flying anywhere, right? So it's not going to end up mattering. Second question is, there are certain states that you guys are not available in. And I get berated on the internet. My DMs are full of people saying, when, whatever state. What's kind of the update there in terms of how many states are you guys in? And then what's the timeline look like to get into the rest of them?
Yeah, so we have some of our products available in every state. The probably number one thing that people talk about and that I wish we could change, but we actually don't have any near-term plans that look like this will change, is that you're not able to earn interest on your crypto if you are in New York. So currently in the state of New York, the only product you're able to access is our loan product. But every other state in the US, you can earn interest on your crypto. And then there's about 35 out of the 50 states where you can wire money in and out of our platform. That's an area where we're actively adding more states. Our regulatory construct is that we have an MSB registration at the federal level, money services business. And then we have lending licenses and money transmission licenses at the state level. That second state level license, the money transmission license, is what we're in the process of getting in more states now. So as we get those licenses, I know Jason Williams from your team was really pumped because we got our North Carolina money transmission license a month or two ago. And so people in North Carolina are able to wire in and out. We open up that functionality to folks in the state. So if you're curious what you can do in your state, if you go to blockfi.com/rates and you scroll down on the page, it'll talk about whether you can get loans or an interest trade and move money in and out of your bank account, or only a subset of those things.
Mr. Going Parabolic himself is he loves BlockFi, as everyone knows. Last thing for you, and you don't know that I'm asking this, the interest that you have had in BlockFi from investors has been unlike pretty much anything else I've ever seen. The data speaks for itself. You, Flory, the rest of the team's execution speaks for itself. You have had the fortune on numerous times now on these investment rounds where insiders have preempted the rounds and kind of been able to, give you a vote of confidence. What's your reaction when you get these term sheets, right? When it's kind of just like you're doing everything that you want, and then you're getting a term sheet without having to kind of go out and go through a whole fundraising process that most founders have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely fair, we usually go through a bit of a fundraising process because we don't want to, get a term sheet from an insider and not do a little bit of a market check. Mm-hmm. But my reaction is always, kind of one part excitement and one part, pinching myself at, how great this is. But that feeling only lasts for so long because then what happens is, you sign the term sheet, you figure out the allocations for the round, you close it, and work doesn't stop while you're going through those steps. And then once you get on the other side of it, it's kind of like you can never really. I don't have a good ability to just be like, all right, we're good. Let's all like take a few weeks off and chill. It's like, no, we're on to the next thing. So you were there. We had a board meeting last week, and we're not talking about, okay, guys, what do we need to do to close and announce the Series C? It's like we're talking about where we need to be by the end of this year and where we're going to be next year. And you come out of that meeting and you're like, holy shit, we have a lot of work to do. So let's get to it. But it's great, man. Look, we're thrilled to be where we are. We're very fortunate to have a business that's able to keep growing and have clients who continue to see value in the products and services that we offer. And so we're just going to keep going.
What do you want this to become? Right? When you look 20 years from now, 10 years from now, what does this kind of evolve into or grow into?
It'll be interesting to see. I've always said, the things that I want are a good outcome from a capitalist perspective for the people who work at the company, and everybody who works at BlockFi has a level of equity ownership in the business, and our investors who give us money. And if those two people make money, I'm sure I'll do just fine. So number one objective is let's have a good outcome. Number two objective is let's have fun in the process of doing that, and not create an environment where we don't enjoy doing the stuff that we're doing and working with the people that we're working with to get it done. And then lastly, if possible, let's change the world for the better a little bit. And so I think what that last piece for BlockFi looks like is a more globally accessible financial services platform that creates better pricing for the same types of things people already do with the traditional system, whether that's how much interest you earn or how much it costs to move money around, and that creates greater accessibility. Like one of the coolest things about crypto, one of the things that drew me into it initially is like, okay, it's like the internet. Like if you can connect to the internet, you can access the cryptocurrency space. And there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on in the world when it comes to how governments operate and what they do with the money supply. And we're very fortunate in America here to have the world's reserve currency, and a lot of places don't have that benefit. And I think that the cryptocurrency space in general, and as a subset of that, our platform can be used to kind of better the financial services outlook for global society. And that's like insane, right? Like, I mean, that's the top of the, potential dream that we have with BlockFi, is you're sitting in a rocking chair 40 years from now and you're like, remember that time we built a, globally accessible bank that was just like better than anything else that existed before it? I mean, that would be pretty cool. So we'll see how far we get.
You're well on your way there, my friend. If anyone wants to sign up, they can obviously go to blockfi.com/pomp. If you go to /pomp, I actually don't remember what you get, but you get discounts, treats, whatever it is. So go do that. What's kind of your closing thoughts for people who are evaluating BlockFi in terms of becoming a potential user? What would you say to them?
We've got, probably, in my biased opinion, the best client service team in crypto. We might be the only place where there's a phone number at the bottom of our website. You can call and talk to these folks, any time during business hours. You can email them, you can tweet at us. So try it out, talk to the team, ask us questions, give us feedback. We would, we'd love to engage with you and potentially work with you as a client. I think we should, before the end of this show, like, Pomp, you led this investment round, and I know you're interviewing me, but why don't you tell people why you decided to be the insider who led a Series C into BlockFi with all the information and stuff that you do at Morgan Creek.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get away with not having to talk to it at all.
The investment piece.
Look, I think that there's two core things that in this specific situation made this like a no-brainer from our standpoint. So first of all is my opinion nor anybody else's opinion matters when you just look at the data, right? And the data is very, very compelling that not only does the company have product market fit, but it's also scaling, and those products have a lot of scalability left in them, right? So they're not products that are kind of, hey, we're going to cap out at a certain number of users. These are things that you can make a strong argument are just starting, and you can see a very long runway to use it. Now, the benefit of that is there's a bunch of data points in the legacy world that we can kind of look at and see, how did those wealth management services or those types of financial services businesses start products, scale products, and kind of what were those outcomes? And so I think kind of looking at the data today with that as the backdrop, very compelling. The second thing is, I'm not shy about my conviction in terms of kind of a future digital world, right? And so if you look at the services that the company provides, these are essential to convincing people to switch to the alternative system, right? And you just can't do that as much as we would like to think you can. You can't do that without debt products, right? You can't do that without some sort of yield product. You can't do that without, credit card type products. You can't do that without actually having a conversion point back and forth between fiat and digital currencies, like with an exchange. And so I think that you just know that this infrastructure's got to get built. And if you go back to kind of that example I used where you compare like the Robinhood or a brokerage type business versus a deposit and payment type business, I'm a very big believer that the deposit and payment business is a model that can scale really well, can be highly profitable, but it also can align value with the user. Right. The users of those products end up getting just as much value, if not more, than the company gets. Right. So you don't get in a world where like the company's taking all the value and the user basically has no other options. So they're locked into a product. And so when you look at that, I think a lot of people in crypto, the thought process is still, as every vertical, when people start these businesses, it's like, how do I build a company to sell it? Or how do I get to $100 million exit? Or like, if I reach really, really far, like imagine if I could build $1 billion business, right? And those are all great outcomes. A lot of times they can be very profitable for founders, employees, investors. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Every once in a while, though, I think a company comes along that has the potential to do something much greater than that, right? And when I say much greater, it's not only impact in the world, but it's from a market cap standpoint and kind of what they can actually build. And I think that it's rare to, one, have a business that is set up in a way and built in a way that can do it. Two, to have a founding team that has a desire to go do that or an ambition. And then three is be able to access the capital and the investors that support that vision, right? And so I think that you guys have done a great job kind of getting those three things aligned. And so to your point, like, you're raising a round that most people would like literally be celebrating and kind of doing all this stuff. And doesn't mean that you guys aren't happy about it or excited, but in the last board meeting, I mean, I don't even think it was brought up one time in terms of like the operational.
Like, oh yeah, we did that. Like it's going to happen.
Right. I mean, it literally is like, how do we go from where we are now to 10x, 100x? You know what I mean? Like let's go. And it's more of this money now allows you to slam on the gas pedal even more and kind of double and triple down on what's working. And so I think that it's a lot of little things. And for those that don't know the stories, Zac and I were talking one day. He was telling me some of the data, and it was a conversation of just like, okay, you guys are going to go out and raise more capital. Like, I want to buy every share I possibly can in this company, right? Like literally, Zac, if you'll sell me all of your shares, I'll buy all of those too, right? Like literally whatever we can do here. Like this is a no-brainer deal from a structure and a data standpoint. And I think that the really great position you found yourself in is we're not the only ones who believe that. Like, I think almost every investor at the table thinks that as well, right? Yeah. And so you get in a situation where both insiders and outsiders all see the value in the business, and now it just comes down to, okay, capital is not going to be a limiting factor. Zac, Flory, the rest of the BlockFi team, it's just, can you guys execute, right? And I love when we just compartmentalize the risk to, it's just an execution risk problem now, right?
It's going to be really fun too if it happens, which I know both you and I, very much believe it will happen, is, we raised our seed round in December of 2017. We launched our first product in January of 2018. We've been operating, below all-time highs for Bitcoin in, some version of a bear market / range-bound market. I'm incredibly confident that Bitcoin's going to hit new all-time highs sometime in the next, 6 to 18 months. That's going to be so fun to have all this stuff, here and ready and built, and then have that available to folks in a scenario where, all the mainstream press is paying attention again because Bitcoin hit a new all-time high and they thought it was dead. I mean, it's going to be wild.
Well, and I think also it is going to be a thing where before people were making a binary decision, do I buy Bitcoin or not? Right. Because that's basically what you could do. And again, I'm one of the biggest proponents of this stuff. So I think that was a good answer. Now, when we go into this bull market again, I think what people are going to be able to say is, wait a second, I can buy the asset. I can earn interest on the asset. I can use this collateral, right? There's things that I can do.
I could dump my airline points and get Bitcoin instead.
Of course. And so it's just the infrastructure, right? And BlockFi has been a big piece of that. It's not BlockFi only. There's companies all across the industry that have built a ton of infrastructure that I think will just be more compelling to people. And so it'll be a lot of fun to kind of watch it play.
All right, man. Always fun coming on the show. Thanks for having me.
You got it. BlockFi.com/pomp. Zach is going to continue going. So we'll do this again in the future.
See you, man.